This week we are working on architectural vignettes, which are small detailed drawings or partial drawings. One thing you could study and draw for architectural vignettes are detail sections. So today I'm going to take you through drawing a section through a window and how the window meets the frame and the sill, the wall, the surrounding wall. So think about for your subject where two or more architectural elements come together. Maybe you have a balcony, and it could be how the balcony attaches to the wall, or how a handrail attaches to a wall, or you also want to study a window or a door frame, anything like that where two elements are coming together. So think back to your pepper section, how you sliced through the pepper section, you looked in a certain direction. So that's what we're doing here. That's what this line indicates. We're slicing through the window. Now what this is, if it's a little confusing, I'm looking at the bottom corner of a window. So we've got the frame around the window. This is the piece where you push down on the window and it clasps onto the frame. We've got the frame and the wall beyond, and there's a screen out here as well. So we're looking down at the corner of the window. So study what you've got, and the way I like to start is with elements that are known. So what I know about this, it's a window, so there's glass and there's vertical glass. So to start, I'm going to use one of my lighter line weights. And I know the vertical glass is going to come down and it ends somewhere, right? So we're going to make some assumptions. Now the glass has some sort of thickness, but not too thick, so I'm going to draw that in too. It's a little hard to see. And this is actually a double pane window, and then there's a vacuum seal between, so there's air between the two. So I'm going to look at what I've got, look at the proportions, and then draw the next glass piece as well, and then it ends somewhere, right? And it's sitting on something, and we'll get to that in a minute. So I know that I've got the glass. Now the next thing, and you can't really see, but there's a change in surface here. It actually steps down, and then you've got the frame and of the screen and the screen itself. So again, I look at my proportions. My screen is probably about right here. Like I say, it steps down, and then there's a horizontal surface where the screen sits. There's also the frame around the screen. So it's sitting something like this. So look, think about the profile of what that the screen frame looks like. And then I will also see the screen frame beyond. So this is the element, the screen element itself, and then the frame beyond should be really light. So to keep these lines straight, I'm going to go ahead and come back with a heavier line weight to highlight that this is the screen itself and that line is the frame beyond. Okay. Alright, so we've got screen, glass. Now there's some interesting things happening on this side. Basically you've got a frame, the window frame is about like a rectangle. Something like this. And there's this element that sticks out, you know, and has the profile sort of like that. I'm going to actually cut through this handle here. So you want to cut through parts that are more interesting, right? That give you information and give you things to draw. So the handle, I'm looking at it right now, kind of comes out like this. And then it latches in on that notch like this. So I'm just studying, making contour lines as I draw. So we've got all of those elements there. Now, also, I'll see part of the frame beyond, so I'm gonna sketch in that line too, pretty close. And then even this over here is part of the framing system. Probably about the same distance from here to here as here to here. So I want to make sure that's documented properly. But see how this is a partial section? It's kind of fading off in one direction and the other. So it's a partial wall section, essentially, is what we've got. I know that this frame also continues here as well. And then, although I can't see everything that's happening out here, I'm going to go ahead and make some assumptions of what goes on. It connects back to the exterior wall. Okay, so this is a pretty solid start to a partial section. Some things to make assumptions with. I'm assuming that this metal has a thickness too of the frame. And I don't know exactly what it looks like. If you've ever seen a window section, a window frame section, a window mullion section, it's probably a bit more complicated than this. But for our purposes, I just know that it has some sort of thickness and that it's supporting the glass itself. So now is when I can really come back with those line weight variations and make it really obvious what I'm cutting through. Cutting through the glass. And definitely cutting through all of this. So I'm using the 8 right now, just so I can have the most effect. And it's looking pretty good. Now is also a good time to add some texture as well. And this actually has some sort of a thickness there too. Same with here. Something like this. If you want to just work in ink, that's fine. You can think about what the material is. If you have brick, for instance, maybe below the sill, you could add some texture, right, to the brick. A lot of times metal will be shown with some diagonal lines. So there's different ways you can bring more of an artistic element to your section sketches. I also like to use watercolor. Just maybe darken the elements that you cut through. I'm not so much concerned about the actual colors of the material, but more about showing that emphasis, like we talked about before, between the cut elements and what's beyond. So have fun with that part of adding some variation in watercolor, and then we can continue to work on these throughout the rest of the semester, practicing detail sections as we go.